Good evening, everybody, or good morning if you're watching this tomorrow. This is Tim Terranova, the proud superintendent of the Victor Central School District. Typically, we'd be live right now, but because of some technical difficulties, you are watching this from a broadcast that was pre-recorded or recorded earlier tonight. So we'll figure that out and go back live in November. But we're really glad to have Mary Beer with us tonight. Mary is the Ontario County Public Health Director, and we partnered with Ontario County Public Health since the start of the pandemic, and we are pleased to have her and really thankful for all the work that she and her colleagues do for the safety and health of our kids in Victor Central School District. So Mary, thanks for joining us tonight. And why don't you just start off by giving us a little bit of an update on the county's COVID rates right now.
Okay, so while we're still in the red zone, according to CDC, because of our 7-day average, things are looking a little bit better. A couple weeks ago, we were experiencing over 30 a day, and we're back down in the 20s. So we're optimistic that we're coming down, and we are seeing that regionally as well. To date, we've had over 9,100 positive cases in the community, and probably that many more that were presumed positive. For example, if a family member is already isolated and one of the family members starts to develop symptoms, we may not necessarily have them go get tested. There's no reason. We know that they're going to have COVID, but they don't get counted in the actual numbers unless it's a positive test, so that there's no doubt at all. So overall, our hospitalizations have been higher lately, in the 20s almost every day. We had 22 in the hospital today. We have had 8,839 recovered, and currently we have 328 residents of our county that are either isolated or quarantined. Isolated means that they are a positive case. Quarantine means they're a contact that possibly will actually develop COVID symptoms. We have had to date, yesterday we reported 120 deaths since the beginning. Sadly, we've had another 2 that'll be reported tomorrow. So in the last week, we've had a total of 4 then, and that's very sad. They are older individuals who have many comorbidities. So I'm very sad and sorry for the loss of those families. So we're still not out of the woods, but things are looking a little bit brighter.
What's the percentage, roughly, if you know, of kids under 18 that are positive?
I don't know that off the top of my head, Tim.
When I looked earlier, it looked like some of the stuff that you sent us each week, it's somewhere around 18 to 25%, though, of the total.
So we definitely, and it does fluctuate. That's why I don't know it today. But definitely we have seen more children since the Delta variant than we saw in the whole other period since the onset of this pandemic. So it is affecting a lot of the kids.
So, and I just checked our numbers from the school district, and we currently have 6 active student cases in our district, and about somewhere between 16 and 18 students quarantined at this point, which is significantly less than we had a couple of weeks ago when we were in the over 200 kids quarantined, and I think we had 40 or 50 active cases at one point. Right. So they definitely have gone down in our district in terms of student cases, and right now we have 0 staff cases and 0 staff quarantines.
Right. Things are looking very good at Victor right now, knock on wood. The cases, some of those cases too, were not acquired in school, that they were from family members or from the community. So since October 4th, is it the 4th? I did write that down. Yep, October 4th, we have not had any case-to-case within the school. So that's really good news. Yes. People are working really hard to make that continue. So again, we have a few cases, but much less and under control at this point.
Yeah, that's great news. And not only that, this is one of the main reasons we're having you on, obviously, is to talk a little bit about the next phase of our work to keep kids in school and staff in school every day of the week, 5 days a week, through our voluntary testing program. There's two types. We know that there's diagnostic testing, and then there's pool or screening testing. Let's put the pool and screening testing off to the side for a bit. And let's talk about diagnostic testing. And parents have received significant amount of information on this. It's also on our website, but what better person to talk a little bit about it than our director of health. So you want to talk just a little bit about what it is and the purpose behind it?
Absolutely. So the state has received federal funding to push out to the rest of the state. And the whole point is to provide funding to allow for testing to keep kids in school. We did not have that opportunity before, so we're very excited to begin this process. We are working very hard to get it up and running, and it will be up and running within a couple of weeks. And actually, some of the diagnostic is already occurring in your school and in some others. And I can talk about a case that will show that this is a good strategy. So we're really very hopeful. So the whole point of the diagnostic testing is that, one, if a child comes to school with symptoms, we can test them there and then find out if they're positive for COVID. If they are negative for COVID, they can remain in class as long as they don't have something else. I mean, if the nurse would use her normal screening to determine whether or not that child should go home. But the whole point is, if the child is negative, we want to try to keep them in school if possible. In addition to that, if we do have a positive case in the school, what we're going to work on is testing the kids around that child so that we can keep those children who have been exposed but do not have symptoms. So as long as they don't have symptoms, and we'll test them every day, then we will allow them to come to school. Of course, that is with parental approval. We will not test anyone that the parent has not given us. So if the parent will not give permission for that, then the child would be quarantined if they were exposed.
And we actually sent a link, parents, through my Friday email to sign up for the testing. Again, it's parent approval. You make that decision as a parent. The link is also going on our website that you can go to, and we will post it on the Facebook page for this broadcast as well, if people are still interested in signing up for their child to be tested in the case of exposure to a positive case, and also, symptomatic, as long as the symptoms are not significant to send home.
That will be determined case by case.
Yeah, right. And we've already, I believe, started to do that this week in our school district, because we had a significant number of parents sign up and sign up their kids, and we were very excited about that. And again, it's a way to keep our kids in school safely and mitigate also the spread, because we'll know pretty quickly if somebody's positive, correct?
We were actually able to demonstrate that today, Tim, where a child's mother called and spoke with your school nurse, and the child, and I think maybe the family had been positive, but the child was having symptoms. So they brought the child in, tested if the kid was positive, so they sent him home, but that child had not been in school to expose others. So that was an example of, if we had just let them come in, they could have exposed a whole classroom. So that is exactly what the purpose of this is. We really want to do whatever we can to keep the kids in school.
All right,
but
so now
safely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And supplies, we have a significant number of supplies. So that we hope to make that last. And we appreciate, we appreciate not only the supplies that the county's paying for, but we also have a full-time person that is going to support us in the testing program, thanks to the county. So we appreciate that. That's Kristen, correct?
Correct.
Yes. So let me demonstrate. I know there's some kids and parents out there a little bit concerned about what the test looks like. And again, this is the diagnostic test. If your child is exposed to a positive case, and if they test negative, they can stay in school. or is symptomatic in school, and it's done by a case-by-case basis by our nurse on whether to be tested, because potentially that child could stay in the school even if they're symptomatic, as long as those symptoms are not either high-risk symptoms for COVID, such as loss of taste and smell. That would be that one is probably going to have somebody sent home, because it's very rare that those are symptoms of anything else but COVID. Or certainly if it's a symptom that normally would send somebody home, like a fever. But in many cases, if it's a cough or something like that, and there's some concern about it, we can, with parent permission, test the child, and the child can stay home. So let me demonstrate, Mary. Mary, you're going to be my coach a little bit, okay? So
Okay.
this is everybody can see this. This is a, what do we call this? A Q-tip?
Yes.
Yeah. Is that good? I got that right?
It's a swab. It's a swab.
It's a swab. Now, the swab that we have in our offices, we have 6 machines. I can't remember the names of those machines.
Abbott.
Abbott PCR machines?
Yes. I think
So,
it's called Abbott Now machines, I think. but
okay. And what do they
better.
test the molecular, they test for the molecular structure of the virus, correct?
Correct.
So the Q-tip or swab is going to be a longer stick that will be in the nurse's office. But
Right.
the good news is we don't want you nervous, because I know in the old days, which was last year and maybe even the beginning of this summer, they had the test where you had to really put this pretty far up your nostril, and it was somewhat painful, quite a bit painful for people. That is not the case with this diagnostic test. What you have to do is you put it in each nostril for approximately 15 seconds. And then you give it to the nurse, and then they're able to test it in the machine, which should take about 15 minutes. So I'm going to demonstrate. Okay. I've done this before. I'm going to try I'm going to go left nostril first, Mary. All right.
Okay.
We're doing 15 seconds, I was told.
Yep.
All right. So we'll do it. We got to put shallow right here. You got to rub it around your nostril for 15 seconds. It does not hurt at all. It's on the lower part of the nostril. There's that one. And then you put it in the right nostril, correct?
Correct.
Do the same thing, 15 seconds. Whether you're a first grader or a senior, you're going to do it yourself too. The kid will do it. We're not going to have somebody do this to anybody. Again, approximately 15 seconds, rub it around, and you take the Q-tip away. They put it in I'm assuming they put it in some sort of safety seal, or put it right in the machine. Then 15 minutes later, we'd find out if I was negative or positive.
Correct.
How was that?
Very good.
Not bad?
Good job.
All right, we're not really going to test me today. But that's what will happen is if I'm exposed or have symptoms, that's for sure. Anything else about the diagnostic testing, Mary, that you'd want to add?
No, that's about as simple as it is. We are also working on trying to get some Binex cards, which would be the same process, but rather than using the machine, you would use a different reagent. And that again takes 15 minutes, as does the Abbott machine, takes about 15 minutes to get the result. We can collect many samples at a time and then do them a little bit later. There is a time period, and the nurses have all been trained on this. And again, the whole purpose is we're really trying to keep the kids in school.
And how long would they have to test for if they're exposed to a positive case?
Again, we'll be looking at the scenario as a whole, but if they're asymptomatic and if they're testing every day, if on day 6 and 7 they are negative, then at that point we will release them from quarantine. We won't test them any longer. Okay. However, if they are not, if the parent will not allow us to test them, then the child goes into quarantine for a minimum of 10 days from the time that they were exposed.
Okay. And that has obviously for safety reasons, because we don't know if the child is going to be positive or not.
Correct.
We're also working with, and thanks to the health department, we're also working with our own nursing staff, as well as we're doing some research on other individuals that may be able to do testing on the weekend if we have weekend activities, which we always do, especially Saturdays, obviously. And we have somebody who needs to be tested because of being exposed on Wednesday or Tuesday or Thursday, and they were being tested those days, and then they have an experience on Saturday that they'd like to participate in. We're looking at ways to figure out to do that testing on Saturday so the child can participate in those experiences. As you know, Victor Central School is known for their extracurricular and co-curricular experiences, whether it's athletics, musicals, performing arts, music events. Even this Saturday, I believe, is the PSAT. So we're really setting that up so that people don't lose the opportunity to do things on the weekend as well. So we really appreciate that. So let's take the diagnostic testing now, put it off to the side.
Okay.
We fully explained that. And now let's go to the second form of testing that, by the way, both of these are mandated by the state health department for schools to offer. And so that's why we're doing this. But the second type is called pool or screening testing, correct?
Correct.
You want to explain that a little bit, Mary?
Yes. So the state is mandated that any staff member who is not vaccinated must screen once a week, must be tested. The children, they're recommending it, but they're not mandating it. But it is available, any mother that wants to have their child. Now, we're looking at numbers, and so we're still working on that. So we may not be able to swab every child every week. We may have to do a random sampling, but definitely any staff member, it's a must. That is a mandate. So what this is it's called pool testing. And we have a contract with a company up in Buffalo. They also have an office in Syracuse, and they're called Quadrant Biometrics. And they have a good experience with this because they did all the SUNY schools and our FLCC school as well last year, and they're continuing to do the FLCC and the SUNYs as well. And they have multiple counties that are already up and running with this as well. So what this is, it's also a PCR test, and you get a swab from the cheek and inside the cheek, and then we label it, we scan it because the child is already, or the staff member has already signed up in the system. We scan it, we label it with the person's name and date of birth, and then they get packed up, and then we send them up to Buffalo. If we're there before 3 o'clock, we will have the results within 24 hours. And how it works is the lab actually bundles, randomly 12 tubes at a time, and they test all 12. If they're all negative, move on to the next 12 batch. If they get a positive, then they go back and retest every one of those test swabs and identify which one is positive so that we know. So it's not the whole group that has to be quarantined, it's just the one who's positive. So they're able to drill right down to the actual, and it does not require a second swab. Good, yeah. It's the same one that they sent initially.
And the staff member or parent that do not have to pay for that test because it's also paid through the county.
Correct.
Yes.
It's paid through a grant.
A grant
through the state, and then the state got the money from the feds. So when the money's up, the money's up. So right. we're trying to be prudent with it, but we really, and the more we do this kind of testing and bring down the numbers, the less testing we'll have to do.
Yeah, so again, the diagnostic testing that we talked about initially has already started in our district, and that's for kids who are exposed to COVID or have symptoms. The pool or screening testing has not started yet in our district. We're looking at trying to start that by the end of the month. Again, just to remind people of what Mary said. So it's mandated that staff members who are not vaccinated must be tested on a weekly basis. Now, there can also be staff members such as myself, I'm vaccinated, but I am also going to request to be tested on a weekly basis as well. And we want to be cognizant of the supplies, but I know there's many different staff members, whether they're vaccinated or unvaccinated, that are going to be tested on a weekly basis because they choose to do that. That's my decision. I'm not trying to influence anybody else, but I just want people to know that you can do that as well. So I will be a staff member that's tested weekly. Students with parent permission are able to sign up for the screening testing. And again, that might not be once a week, as Mary said. It might be, a couple times a month, because we might take some of the group that is interested in doing it, because we're not going to try to test everybody at the same time, especially in a district the size of Victor. And then the purpose of this screening or pool testing is, again, to get out in front of the virus, find out who has it, able to get those people quarantined or isolated quicker than normal, because we'll know if people are positive. And again, that should help also bring down the cases. So our county's going down right now in terms of cases. Our district is way down, which is great news. We already have the diagnostic testing started, which should support us to continue to keep those cases down and, keep kids in school, and then set up the screening testing later in the month. Now, Mary, though, I do want to demonstrate. I've never done this one before, so you're going to have to walk me through it. So I'm going to demonstrate what a pool test or screen test would look like with the swab. I have another clean swab.
So the swab to begin with would be sterile. It would be coming in would be covered, and you open it up at the bottom.
All right.
Take it out, and then on one side of you, inside of your cheek, just like you've seen them do DNA on TV.
Yeah.
You do it 10 times on one side, 10 times on the other. Then you give it back and put it back in that paper that you got it from.
All right. So I'm not doing the 15 seconds on this one.
Yeah,
I'm just going to do
10 times on each side. Yep.
Okay, that's 10 one side.
Yep.
10 the seconds, the other side, second side, other side of my cheek. Put its face down. It would go in the, whatever that is. Where does it go in again?
It goes back into the paper it came in.
Right. And then that's taken.
It's sealed into a bag, and
right.
It's labeled. And then all of this, they're all gathered up together, and we're working right now on the process for how to get them up to Buffalo. The Finger Lakes Community Colleges has offered to allow us to use their courier at the same time, but we still have all the school districts to collect them from, so we have a little work to do on that.
Great. Yeah, that took what, 10 seconds, 20 seconds maybe total.
Right.
And it was painless.
The child does that themselves.
Yeah, I was going to say that. So
yeah.
with both types of testing, whether it's nostril or cheek, the child does it themselves, and that's important to know. And it's really, really easy to do. Mm-hmm. So just wanted to make sure that was clear. One last question, Mary, because you've been great. What about any healthy reminders? I know that last year we had Halloween, and that's when we started to get some significant cases. It's just generally right now, in terms of what you're seeing in the county, what are some reminders for families at home?
Well, just to be careful, cognizant that it's still out there. I personally wear my mask at all times when I'm not in my own home or my own office, because I don't know if someone else has it, if they might be a breakthrough case, or they might not be vaccinated. So just be really careful and consider where you're going. If you're going to, a riskier thing would be going to an inside party with a lot of people that can't really socially distance and unmask. That would be a risky scenario. More being outside and not being right on top of each other with the social distancing, a little bit less of a risk. So, we're not telling you not to, start living your life. And we are definitely seeing activities occurring across the county, and again, limited. We see the numbers coming down, and the more they come down within the state, within the region, within our county, the better off we're going to be.
Great. Anything else you want to add, Mary?
Just wash the hands, wear your mask, and thank you everyone who's been very cooperative. This has been a long haul for my staff. They're tired, but they have been relentless, and just the most wonderful group of people that are really committed to keeping the community safe. So thank you for working with us.
Thank you for having the patience to be on the show tonight. We appreciate it. I know we had some technical difficulties about it being live, but this is recorded, and I know people can watch it at their leisure. So Thanks, Mary. Appreciate it. And I'm going to stay on for a few minutes because I have some other announcements, but have a great evening, Mary. Thank you.
You too.
So that's the information right from the Director of Health for Ontario County. Want to make sure we brought her on so she could give you that specific information. Sorry if I grossed anybody out by the two different tests, but it was really, really simple, whether it's the nostril or the cheek. And so we hope that people consider doing that. Again, it's parent permission for the child to be tested. We will not test children if the parents do not grant that permission. Just a couple quick pieces of information I want to share with people since I have you on tape today. One is I want to talk a little bit about the Safe Harbors program, and that's our work with elementary students. Safe Harbors is where we have trained professionals, and at Safe Harbors of the Finger Lakes present lessons on the topic of personal safety. The New York State Department of Education mandates that all students are presented a lesson on the topic of personal safety throughout the months of October and November. For us, I believe it's through 8th grade. UPK through 8th grade will be receiving lessons designed for their grade level that is developmentally appropriate. This all relates to Aaron's Law. In August of 2019, New York State became the 37th state to sign Aaron's Law into legislation. It requires public schools to teach child sexual abuse and exploitation prevention classes to students in kindergarten through 8th grade. Aaron's Law is named for Aaron Marin, an abuse survivor and activist against child sexual abuse who has advocated for similar laws nationwide for over a decade. It's intended to help children, teachers, and parents in New York State schools identify sexual abuse and to provide awareness, assistance, referral, or resource information for children and families who are victims of child sexual abuse. So we have started this process this month. It's again something that parents must give permission to do. We could have parents can opt out of this training, but we really want people to strongly consider allowing their kids to participate. I do have a couple examples. I want to read you a couple of the things from kindergarten through 2nd grade that will be occurring. Again, these are trained individuals from New York State who give this type of teaching. So for kindergarten through 2nd grade, examples include students will be able to recognize healthy and unhealthy relationships. They'll understand that abuse can occur in any relationship. They're going to understand that their body is theirs and it deserves respect, as well as know that some parts of their body are private. Students will be able to identify and define whether a touch is comfortable, uncomfortable, or confusing. They're definitely going to be able to understand how to refuse an uncomfortable touch. And a main focus of this, especially for our younger kids, are 3 words: no, and being able to say no, go, and then tell somebody else. They're also going to know what keeps them safe when on the internet, including not sharing personal information in a variety of other areas. Here's a couple examples for 3rd and 4th graders. Students are going to be able to recognize healthy and unhealthy relationships, understand that abuse can occur in any relationship. What they call the bathing suit zone will be emphasized with kids in 3rd and 4th grade, and a deeper understanding of comfortable, uncomfortable, or confusing touch. And again, that same concept of know, go, and tell to seek help from a trusted adult. It's really getting kids to understand that no matter who it is, it's wrong and what they can do about it. All the way up to 7th and 8th grade, which, gets into concepts like students will understand they can stand up for themselves and say no without feeling guilty, being able to help a friend who is up in a potentially abusive situation, find a trusted adult. And students will be able to identify abuse that may occur in person and online, physical, sexual, emotional, and neglect. So it gets more complex for our 7th and 8th graders, but certainly age appropriate. So I just wanted to mention that. Again, parents have the ability to opt their child out of this training, out of this work, but we really believe it's important for all of our kids to understand in an age appropriate way the dangers of sexual abuse, the dangers of what can happen. Certainly from it, and their ability to get out of the situation, whether you're a 1st grader or an 8th grader, knowing what to do in those types of situations. So just wanted to mention that. If you haven't received specific information on Safe Harbors, please let us know. We did send it out via Parent Square. a message, and we're making sure people have that. It's also on our website if you want more information. Just a few highlights about what's going on in our district. First of all, October is Principal Appreciation Month. So special thanks to Carrie Pender, Heidi Robb, Kevin Schwartz, Brian Gee, and Brian Siesto, our 5 fabulous principals who are doing an incredible job leading our district and our over 4,300 kids to great successes. So thank you to our principals. Also, October is Board of Education Appreciation Month. So special thanks to Tim DeLucia, our president, Christopher Parks, our vice president, and Kristen Elliott, Karen Ballard, Chris Eckhart, Elizabeth Mitchell, and Tricia Turner, the 7 outstanding members of our school board, who I like to call the unsung heroes because they do a tremendous amount of work behind the scenes, but are really helping to lead this district and move it forward in this very complex time. So October is Board Appreciation Month. Please recognize your board members when you see them. Our strategic planning committee is meeting next week. You've heard a lot about the strategic plan. They're meeting on Friday, October 20th. Remember, this is after a significant number of focus groups and surveys that have been sent out to get as much input from the community around what we value in our educational system in Victor Central School District. And then this committee's charge is over 4 full days to take all of that information, consolidate it, synthesize it into a rough draft of a strategic plan that is supposed to be a 3 to 5 year plan. This committee will consist of about 10 community members who are all parents, and some are involved in community businesses in the Victor Central School District. So we have 10 community members, 12 faculty and staff members, 2 Board of Ed members, 6 administrators. We've asked 8 students to participate through the senior high school. So we're hopeful to get as close to 8 as possible. And then I'm lucky enough to be on the committee as well. So right now we're gonna have somewhere between, I'd say 34 and 37 people a part of this strategic planning committee. And we really appreciate people reaching out. There were some parents as well as faculty and staff members that weren't able to be on the committee because we had not too many, but we had more than the number that we could use sign up. So we really appreciate their efforts as well and hope to use those individuals in future leadership positions and leadership opportunities. So that's going to be October 20th, and we're going to continue to give you updates on that. And then just 2 plugs that are really important to us. One is the Victor Marching Band Home Show is this Saturday on the turf, hopefully, weather permitting, starting at, I believe, 5:30 p.m. this Saturday, October 16th. As you know, our Victor Marching Band is an incredible group of students, and they're well known across the country, not just the state. And this is going to be our home show on the turf with multiple districts participating. Again, 5:30 on Saturday, October 16th at Corbett Field. Weather permitting, hopefully we'll be able to have that. I know it'll be packed. So come out and enjoy that show. And then the Victor Senior High School Fall Play, which this year is The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, is going to be presented on October 22nd at 7 p.m. And then Saturday, October 23rd, 2 shows, a matinee at 1 p.m. and an evening show at 7 p.m. So October 22nd, 7 p.m., October 23rd, 1 and 7 p.m. At the junior high, senior high auditorium. We are so thrilled because this is going to have an audience. So spectators will be able to come watch the show, and you can buy tickets right at the door. Legendary The Legend of Sleepy Hollow is a legendary Washington Irving story, hoping to create something spooky and fun to coincide with Halloween this year, said director Jeremy Hawkinson, who does an incredible job as a director. It's a new adaptation that is going to really engage the audience. So I'm very excited to see this show. Again, please come out to see our Victor Senior High School Fall Play, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, next weekend, October 22nd and October 23rd. Again, you are not watching this live. This is taped. So please put your comments in, questions, and we'll attempt to answer those questions and comments Thursday and Friday. And if you have any questions, please give me a call. So have a great night, great day if you're watching this on Thursday, and take care.